Okay, so my server is going in the background, and it's a bit loud, but it should be okay because the microphone's here. The video I'd like to make today is about Jews, man, okay? So, the most viewed video on my channel is me talking about how a Jew doesn't know his own book, right? And so, curious, interesting, whatever, character assassination, using a big name, or getting the numbers, whatever. The video that's coming up behind it is a different video. It's getting more views now, but anyway, the point is that I met with a Jew recently. I was on Discord with him, talking with him for hours, talking with him all through the night, and then we finally started talking about religion and the Torah. And I bring up an interlinear translation where it says word for word, like Elohim, Hashim, whatever the hell, and then it's translation in English. And because he's like, no one's ever seen God ever, whatever the hell. And he's like, I have read it. I was grown up with it. I'm from Israel, and I read it so many times. And I said, oh yeah, so and the Jews never take any land. They live there the whole time. I'm like, well, but Jericho, the Book of Joshua. He's like, oh, I don't know about that. And a few hours later, he's like, yeah, well, Joshua, I know the Book of the Story, of course. I should have been saying how Joshua is Yeshua, Jesus, but taking the promised land. Anyway, he was really, really strange. So because he's a Jew, because he's grown up with that, he feels like he's dominant. He has all authority over it. And great, cool, awesome. I'm willing and open for that a Jew knows more about me than their own book, right? But I'm observing that Jews that don't know Jesus, Jews that are basically atheists, right? Because I actually lived with an atheist Jew for all of COVID, and that was brutal. They are in a strange place, and so he's coming from this, you don't even know Hebrew, you don't understand it, when it says, and we were reading this part from Deuteronomy, I believe, or was it from Exodus? But the point was, Moses goes up, talks to God, asks to see God, and God says, okay, I'm going to pass by you, and he puts his hand in front of his face, passes by him, and then he can just see God's back. And it's a beautiful thing. It's like, and that's where the bloody expression comes from, that you can't see God and die. It comes from that exact passage, right? And he's telling me, nobody's seen God ever, you can't see God or you'll die. And I was like, well, what about Deuteronomy, where literally that phrase is invented, okay? It says here that he saw the back of God, God passed him by. And he reads it back, and he's like, no, this is about the promised land and going in there. This is about, I will make you big and I will take you. And I'm like, but I can see the interlinear translation right here. I can go to a Hebrew dictionary and see that symbol and then find the symbol and see, oh, it means this in English. But they put this layer of obscurity, like that's how the language works. When you say you are on a mountaintop, what you actually mean is some great metaphorical, just get lost. It's just not true. These are people that it's like confronting this, I know everything about the Torah because I'm a Jew and I was raised on it. It's like confronting that spirit head on with that guy, and he will not talk to me, he will not mention my name, look at me, he has been so destroyed from this. And he's acting super, super strange and weird. And whatever, good for him, But I want you to stand in your knowledge, right? There isn't there are elements of the language that don't really make sense in English, and you can go into Jewish mysticism, you can go into Jewish teachings on the Torah, and you can learn loads of new things, You can learn 10 things when in English you could get maybe 3 things out of it. Awesome, right? But the general script and stuff, the general writing, they have words, they have adjectives, they have syllables. It's the same. Language is the same. As much as all computing language is basically the same, if statements and correct and not and flags, they have little itty bits that you can learn about the language. They're all basically the same. The same with every language I've ever known. Why is Hebrew this totally mystical, totally new, fresh thing, right? What if I learn all of Hebrew then? Well, maybe that's what I gotta bloody do. But if you can get a dictionary and translate a Hebrew word into English, what is being lost? How much is being lost? it will say like 10 different varieties of like, if it's just duck, it's describing a duck, it's going to say duck. It's describing a hat, it's going to say hat, right? So why is mountain and back and face and Elohim and Adonai and all that stuff, why is that suddenly, oh, well, no, that means something totally different. It can't mean that God was on a mountain, went by him, and then he saw his back. No. This means a future promise of, like, it's just get out of here. And it's not from him, obviously. It's from his rabbis, from his teachers that are so lost because they don't know Yeshua. They don't know Jesus Christ. They're so damn lost that they are like polluting this man's mind. They are polluting the minds of the children of Israel. And this has been happening forever, thousands of years. And so I asked him at one point, I was like, look, what do you think about that? What do you think about the remnant and then the mass of Israelis which God kills over and over and over again, and then the very small remnant which know him and love him? And he couldn't answer that. He's stuck in actually not knowing the Torah, not understanding the Torah. He's stuck in that, and so he doesn't actually understand that element of it, because he doesn't even, which is curious, because he's raised on it. Like, that's so difficult. Raised on it, said he's read it like 500 times or 5 times, right? Then he struggles to say all the books. Then he struggles to know any of the stories. He said that freaking the son of David, Solomon, was with Bathsheba, and like he has the audacity for us to read an interlinear side by side to tell me that, oh yeah, that's not right. It's like, respect the Jews, love the Jews, they're awesome, but know as well that the vast majority of them are totally lost and without like sense, just like it's been throughout history. And when they start speaking authoritatively on the scriptures, like, just hold up. People have worked and slaved over translating it into English from the Hebrew, if we're talking about Old Testament, and it's not bad and inaccurate. What I would, I had similar experiences with a Muslim. So we went on and we looked at hadiths and stuff, and he was like, look, these hadiths are crap that you're showing me. So I learned with Islam that you got to Google top 5 hadiths, right? And then when you got those top 5 hadiths that are just, these are the legit 100% hadiths, then you can start taking the stories out of there, like of Aisha, of the, all that stuff, satanic verses, whatever the hell you want to present to them. But then really ignore that and just go Quran only, because they can't ignore the Quran. And then you can talk about, how it supports marrying and having sex with like women that aren't menstruating, and how it says that the gospel is correct and Christians should live by it and judge by it, that kind of stuff. How it's a good and holy book, and it was given by Allah to Jesus, and it's great, and all this stuff. You can use those. When it comes to like Jews though, and it comes to knowing what Hebrew is, I think an important aspect is to have a collection of interlinear works, because I went on BibleHub.com and just used their interlinear, but they only have one Hebrew text that they translate from. So to have that, and then to rapidly have a dictionary available, and to be able to compare what the dictionary says with other interlinears that you have access, I think that'll be a good resource for that kind of trap. Or you can do an experiment and tell them, okay, how do you write? I went up to a mountain with God. Have him write it out for you. Then you can put it in Google Translate. Whatever the hell. It's like, it's a real tricky spirit, but it's ancient. And what our task is, what angered him and pissed him off so much, and our task as Gentiles, just like it says in Romans 11:11, I kept telling him, like, what's happening right now is Romans 11:11. Just check it out. And he was like, oh, what is Romans? I never read Romans. I don't know what the Roman is. The Bible is Roman. Like, so ignorant about biblical scriptures and stuff, but then taking such a stance of knowing everything. It's the relationship that God has with the Gentiles is making the Jews jealous, essentially. So I'm from their jealousy and their rage and their freaking, they do a whole bunch of stuff, but like, yeah. These Abrahamic religions,